Hare Krishna Vamshi Prabhu. In how much time will this class start?
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Manojavam Marutatulyavekam, Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam, Vatatmajam Vanarayothamukhyam, Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami. कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mani ki jai. Thank you for being here this morning. I didn't realize that although Singapore is a small city or smaller country, it still takes time to go from one place to another. So you've taken the time out on a Sunday morning, right? Sunday? For me, my body is still in Saturday somewhere. Sunday morning, I'm very grateful that you've come here. I'm assuming that you have some desire in learning about the or hearing about the charm of the Ramayana. Generally, when people hear the lovely pastimes of the Lord, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, or the activities in Mahabharata or Ramayana, they have some effect on a person. The effect has different layers of effects. One is, people feel some relief, some people feel happy, some people feel joy, some people feel ecstasy. It all depends on one's receptivity of the message the great acharyas have offered, and also what situation one is in one's life. So yesterday we heard about the birth of the Ramayana. I can't remember everyone's faces, but can you raise your hand if you were here last night? Okay. So do you remember the verse that we shared yesterday? Anyone want to give it a
Dharmagya
try?
Satyasandascha Ramo Dasharathiryata.
Any? I can. Yeah. Please, Prabhu.
Anishada Pradishtavattam Agamashakrutistamaha Yatra Sudunadegam Avadikamohitam.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One more from the women's side. Sure. That's okay. So go through the meaning. Ma Nishada Pratishthantvam. Sama. Avadhi. Kamo. Very good. Hare Krishna. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So what we're going to, I have a lot of verses to share today, but not to remember, is to continue with the storyline. The reason I'm going to share with you, this is from the Balakanda, chapter 4. There are 31 verses. I'm not going to show you all 31, but a good number of them. The reason being, I can narrate it as the story, sure. But within this chapter, Valmiki is telling us how Lord Brahma's mercy, Narada Muni and Lord Brahma's mercy did what it did to him, that what he produced as the Ramayana, what effect it has. What is the style? What does it look like? What's the structure? So it's important to see the verses because I will point to certain things, then you will see why the poetry of it is important. One of the reasons I'm attracted to the Ramayana is because Valmiki's poetry is astounding. We recited a verse earlier in the invocation. Kujantam Rama Rama iti. Kujantam, singing. Rama Rama iti. And how is he singing? Singing Madhuram. And the words that he has used is Madhura Aksharam. The word Rama, 2 syllables. Madhura Aksharam. And who is singing? Arohya Kavita Shakham. He's sitting on the branch called divine poetry. And that tree belongs to the Vedas. In that, there is a branch called the poetry or poetry. And he's sitting there, this kokila, this cuckoo bird called Valmiki, is singing sweetly. What is he singing sweetly? Rama, Rama, iti. So poetry is exquisite. That's what he produced. And he's writing about himself. Although he writes about himself in third person. Because that's an expression of humility. Whenever you say I did it, then no self-respecting Muni, Rishi, Brahmana, Vaishnava will touch that work. Because it's all about I did it, I didn't. So he writes it in third person. And the spirit in which we appreciate is he's not writing about, what a wonderful poem I have created, but he's writing it as how wonderful the grace of my Guru has manifested this way. So the Ramayana, in one sense, is his glorification of his Guru Narada Muni. Just the way the entire Bhagavatam is a unabashed, no apologies required expression of glorification of Narada Muni by Vyasadeva. So we'll start here. So the 4th chapter says when the Ramayana began. Now let me see how to go from one to the other. There you go. You're welcome to sing along or recite along, but not required. You will. So one thing about Ramayana, 24,000 verses, which we'll see. The poetry is not difficult, not complicated, but the message and the personality is hidden. Anyone did poetry in school? It was the most difficult thing for me. I failed in poetry classes because somehow the poet would say one thing, but the meaning is something else altogether because it is all symbolic, or it has alankara, it has all these decorations in it, figures of speech. It's meant to, I had a tough time with it. So Valmiki Rishi's poetry is not difficult to understand. But the message is far beyond the grasp of the conditioned mind. Okay, so this is the first verse of the chapter. Prapta Rajasya Ramasya Valmiki Bhagavan Rishi Chakara Charitam Krishna Vichitra Padam Atmavan. Now, if I had few hours, we can go through every word why Valmiki calls himself Bhagavan, why he calls himself Atmavan. These are adjectives he's giving to himself. But when he gives it to himself, he's not thinking, I am great. He's thinking, Narada Muni has made me great. It is Narada Muni's grace that has given me this opportunity then Lord Brahma empowered me to do so. So whenever you hear those kinds of words, you know what's going on. Okay. Some things to note. It says Kritsnam Chakara. Kritsnam means incompleteness. The entire work is complete. He didn't leave parts of it, he didn't skip something, but it's complete. In the sense, he narrated everything that he was empowered to do. And how did he do it? Vichitra Padam. Chitra Padam. Chitra is beautiful. Vichitra means wonderful. The language that he has used, the words he has used, the things that he has conveyed. I will give you a sample a little later. Remind me if I forget. But so Vichitra Padam. And the question is, when was the Ramayana written? That's important to know. So the very first line he tells us, Prapta Rajasya Ramasya. That means Ramachandra has become the king again. He has killed Ravana. He has come back. He has done his Pattabhishekam. He's become the king. He is now ruling. And at that time, Valmiki composed the Ramayana. So Valmiki Rishi and Sri Ramachandra, you can say, are contemporaries. It was written when Ramachandra was manifesting his pastimes on the planet after the killing of Ravana. He's the king now. Something I appreciate about Sri Ramachandra, the other wonderful avatars of the Lord, Narasimhadeva, Vamana, etc., they manifest their pastimes, and as soon as the purpose is done, then they disappear from our vision. For example, Narasimhadeva, he appeared. I mean, he's always there, but in terms of the manifest Leela, how long was it? Quick, half an hour, 1 hour at the most. Lord Shri Krishna, roughly 125 years. Sri Ramachandra, 11,000 years. And in how many years was Ravana finished? Within the first 40 years of Ramachandra's appearance, Ravana was packed and sent back into the cold storage. But Ramachandra continued being on the planet for 11,000 years. And the only purpose was to give unlimited access to anybody who wanted to meet him, but to also show by example, because he has appeared in the human form. See, one Sri Vaishnava Acharya, he says that Ramachandra and Krishna both had problems. The problem was that people did not believe them. He said Ramachandra kept telling everybody, I am not God, I am not God, and nobody believed him. Krishna, right from the birth, he said to everyone, I am God, and nobody believed him. So it doesn't matter who you are. If the world doesn't want to believe you, you can say what you want to say, saying it in a funny way. But Sri Ramachandra continued for 11,000 years to show by example how a human being should live their life. A life of bhakti, a life of service, a life of kindness, a life of friendship, a life of giving oneself for the pleasure of others. I mean, this long list. So then this, the next one is, so what did he create? Chakara, oh, I skipped, okay. Chakara, he did it in completeness. So now he gives, let's see if we can, I'm going to say the verse, see if you pick up some words. Chatur Vimshati Sahasrani Shlokam, Shlokan, Shlokan, Shlokan Amukta Vanrasi. Shlokan Uktavan Rishi. Shlokanam Uktavan Rishi. Chatur Vimshati Sahasranam. 24,000 shlokas. Okay. Then he put it all together in Tatha Sarga Shata Pancha, 500 chapters, 24,000 verses grouped into 500 chapters. And Shat Kandani into 6 cantos. We counted yesterday, there were 7. Shat Kandani Tatha Uttaram, Tathottaram, and Uttarakanda, the epilogue. There is a reason why 24,000 verses Valmiki picked. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that's the invocation of the Lord. And then the first sloka, he says, Janmadhyasya yataha, it keeps going. And then he says, Param Dhimahi. And Prabhupada says that he is invoking the Gayatri. And in that spirit, he is narrating or opening the Bhagavatam. Exactly the same way. The 24,000 verses match or point to the 24 syllables in the Brahma Gayatri. Starts with Tat Savitur. Okay. Generally, we're not supposed to recite it aloud. So Tat Savitur. And it ends with Prachodayat. Now, the way he structured it while he's narrating the story is the very first syllable of the Gayatri mantra is Tat Savitur. Ta. So the first verse of Ramayana begins with Ta. Tapaswadhyaya Niratam. Then you go down 1,000 verses, 1001. That first verse begins with the next syllable of the Gayatri mantra. Tatsa. Then you go down another 1,000 verses. The first syllable will begin with the third of the Gayatri mantra. So if you take the first syllable of every 1,001, 1,001st verse, put them together, you will get the Gayatri mantra. The reason is the Gayatri mantra is not given to common people. But great sages like Valmiki, Vyasadeva, they want the access of this, the personality of Godhead, that everybody should have access to Sri Ramachandra and Sri Krishna. Now, how do you do it? Without violating Vedic principles. Vyasadeva cannot, because he is Vyasadeva, yet he makes it accessible. Just the way Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a Vedic mantra and made it accessible to anybody, humans across the planet, non-humans, animals, birds, everybody can be taught and they can recite. That's their greatness, the vision that they have. So the entire Gayatri mantra is encoded in the Ramayana. Okay. Then, after completing all the work, the entire book, Chintaya Masa, he started thinking about it. He started, you can't say worried. Chintaya Masa means he's deeply contemplating. Chintaya Masa, Kon Vetat Prayunjatyat Idi Prabhu. Who will learn this? Because everybody who creates such a body of work wants people to learn about it, right? Srila Prabhupada is particular. I've written these books. We must share with others. That way, the message of the Lord gets propagated within humanity. So he was thinking, who will propagate this work? At that time, Tasya Chintaya Masa Maharsher Bhavita Atmana means it was something that was very meaningful for him. It was in his heart, a sort of concern, a sort of how will this vision be fulfilled that people in the world will get the Ramayana. He's still not given the name for it yet, right? Agranitan tatah pado munivesho kushi lava. At that time, as he was considering it, Lava and Kusha came into his presence and touched his feet.
I thought his slide is not moving, but it's okay. I think it's
Oh, it's not moving. It's moving on my screen.
I think it's the same, but yeah, I think it's the same thing. Yes. This is the one. Yes.
Oh, but I haven't come to the verse that I'm showing yet. So, okay, thank you. Not yet. I didn't put all the verses here, then people will be like, wow, so many verses. So I just picked certain things. I'm just narrating the story. So Lava and Kusha came and offered obeisances and touched his feet. Kushi Lavau tu dharmagyau rajaputrau yashashvinau. He looked at them and he said, you know, Kusha and Lava, dharmagyau, they both know dharma very well. Now this dharma also means how to live in the world, what are the rules to follow. But another meaning of dharma means that they know their constitutional nature very well. Rajaputro, although they are living like ascetics, they are Rajaputro. He knows they are the sons of Sri Ramachandra. Yashashvinau, they are very glorious because they are Ramachandra's sons. Bhratarau, Swarasampannav, they are excellent singers. And the way they pronounce everything. Generally, Sanskrit, at least my grandfather and father were very particular how to pronounce it. And then we met Srila Prabhupada. Thankfully, he's not like, you can't say like this. He was very kind, but it's hard. But they used to Swara Sampanna. They know how to pronounce the words very well. Dadarsham, Dadrush Ashrama Vasinav. And he saw that they were living in his ashram. So he said, yes, I have picked these two persons is whom I'm going to give the Ramayana. Okay, now let's see if I can move this slide. I'm trying. Okay, there you go. And then he said that these two boys, Satu Medhavinau Društva Vedeshu Parinishtitau Vedopa Brahmanarthaya Tav Agrahyata Purabohu. Valmiki said, oh, these two boys will explain this work which is called Veda Upabrahmana. Upabrahmana means that which explains the Vedas. Now, Vedas were not accessible to common people, was not accessible to those who were not Dvijas or Brahmanas, was not accessible to women, was not accessible to other Vargas. But how? Vedas is for everybody. So Veda Upabrahmana means he created the Ramayana so that everybody can get access to the Vedas and the Vedic message. So what's the connection between Ramayana and the Vedas? There's a beautiful verse. Veda Vedye Pare Pumsi. Krishna calls himself Vedavit, right? So Veda Vedye Pare Pumsi, that personality who is the knower of all the Vedas, and Pare, one who is transcendental. Pare Pumsi, that man, that personality. Jate Dasharathatmaje, took birth as the son of Dasharatha. Then the Vedas were always surrounding the Lord. Like in the 10th canto, we hear the Vedas are always standing around the Lord and glorifying Him. And I can hear my own voice. The Vedas were very, very eager. Oh, you are descending onto the earth planet. We don't want to be without you. We want to come with you. We want to be there with you. We want to glorify you when you are there. So, Vedaha Prachetasad Asit. Asit means became. Prachetasad. From Valmiki they took birth. Ramayana Saksham. That is the Ramayana is the exact Vedas that took birth from Valmiki. Veda Prachetasad Asit. Sakshat Ramayana Atmana. Atmana means in the form of. So it is the Vedas. Now Vedas just does not mean Rig, Sama, Yajur and Atharva. At that time is only one Veda. but it means all the ancillary parts of the Vedas, the Vedangas, the Samhitas, Upanishads, they all are included in the Ramayana, including what is important for us, the Upasana Kanda. Because the Vedas have only one concern, either give a direct path or an indirect path. Most people are attracted to the indirect path. So Krishna says, a very flowery language is there in the Vedas. They dangle a carrot and everybody likes to follow the carrot. But they give an indirect or a circuitous path or a direct path of ultimately falling at the feet of Sri Ramachandra and saying, Dasosmi, I am your servant. Right? That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Ekale Ishwara Krishna are a sabhritya. Everybody else is a servant. This is our constitutional nature. And to recognize this, to live like this, is the greatest achievement of the human life. And Prabhupada, thanks to Srila Prabhupada, he made the message simple, easy, goes in straight. No, complicated packaging. Very simple, like a banana. Some fruits are very complicated packaging. Banana is very easy. Very nourishing as well. So like that. So then he tells us what the Ramayana is like. Let's say this. Kavyam Ramayanam Kritsnam Sitaya Charitam Mahad Paulasya Vadham Ityeva Chakara Charita Vrata. This entire Kritsnam, complete word, he wanted to give it a title. So he considered 3 titles. Ramayana. Okay. Second title was Paulasya Vadham. Who is Paulasya? Ravana. Because he is the grandson of Pulastya Muni. Pulastya Muni, his son was Vishrava. From Vishrava came Ravana. Paulasya Vadham, the killing of Ravana. And then he said, there's a third title. Yes, we have 3 titles, we have 3 mics. Or more like the 3 modes of nature. The third title was Sitayah Charitam. Sita Devi's character. But if you see, when he talks of Ravana, he says Vadam. When he says Ramayana, there is no adjective to it. But the moment he says Sitayah Charitam, Sitayah means of Sita, Sita's character, the adjective he used is Mahad. Sitayah Charitam Mahad. That means Sita Devi, the way her character shines forth in the Ramayana is even greater. And very consistent with our Gaudiya philosophy also. That we worship Radharani as our Devi through whom we approach Sri Krishna. And the Goswamis, who in their constitutional nature are all the Manjaris, they are pretty much on Radharani's team. So Valmiki Rishi, same consistent message, Sitaya Charitam Mahad. And then he thought about it and said, yes, the title Ramayana will be the best title. Because in that title, Sita and Rama are both there. Okay. So the word Ramayana has many meanings. We'll stick to 2 for today. Ramasya Ayanam. What is the meaning of Ayana? Path. Right now we call it Uttarayana, when the sun is moving up northwards between the tropics. It's called Uttarayana. Then in June, the sun moves downwards. So it's called Dakshinayana. Ayana, path, shelter, character is all Ayana. Narayana means the ultimate shelter of all the living beings. The path that the Nara, living being, should take to reach somewhere is called Narayana. So Ramayana means the pathway, the movement, the character of Sri Ram. Now, the word for Devi is Rama, right? Rama Devi. When we say Rama Devi, what we are talking about her, it becomes Rama. So, Rama plus Ayana is Ramayana. Rama means of Sita. Ayana is also Ramayana. In Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada gives us the breakdown, two meanings of that word, where we follow rules and regulations, or we give up rules and regulations. What is that word? Niyama agraha. So niyama agraha is niyama agraha or niyama agraha. Agraha means to neglect, to give up. Agraha means to hold. Now, but to get the idea. So Rama Ayana. So he said, yes, that's the title. Very good. Sita Devi is there. Charitam Mahatma, her character is there. Next one, he says, 8th verse. Now, how is this Ramayana meant to be shared with others? He's writing his book, so he's giving us how it is to be done. Pathe. Pathe must be studied. Geye must be sung. Cha madhuram pramane tribhir anvitam. Tribhir pramane anvitam. It is filled with the three styles of singing. Pathe, Geye, cha madhuram pramane tribhir. And what is in this? Jati bhi. Jati bhi. Jati means the style of singing. There is, I mean, I'm not an expert in music, but jati means the category in which it can be put to ragas and can be sung. In fact, it should be sung like that. Tantri laya samanvitam. Tantri means with stringed instrument. Laya with percussion, so that you have tala. That means Ramayana, according to Valmiki Rishi, is suitable and must be sung with musical instruments. I think yesterday I said it. There are some poetries that sound excellent when they are sung, but when they are recited. Some poetries are excellent to recite, but to put them to music is not easy. Ramayana is such a poetry that both are excellently possible. So he said, yes. Now, why is it? What else is there in the Ramayana? Because this must be sung, he wants Lava and Kusha to propagate it. So what is in it? Is it just story? Is it just poetry? Are there any divine aspects in it? Yes. Let's see if you can recognize these words. Rasai. Rasai. All varieties of rasas are there. Shringara, Karunya, Hasya, Bhayanakaihi is used as one word. All of the rasas, Bhayanakai. Raudra, Adibhishcha. Raudra, Adibhi. Raudra, etc. Anger, etc. Samyuktam. They are fully involved or there. This poetry has all of it. Yuktam means suitable. Samyuktam, very well mixed in the poetry. Kavyam etad agayatam. One must sing it. Agayatam. Or he sang, or they sang. The two, Lava and Kusha, sang this poetry when he taught them, because it is full of rasai, shringara, karunya, hasa, iva, hasya, vir, bhayanakai, bhayanakai. Hasya Virya, Bhayanakai. My eyes are going from bad to worse. Let me see if I can expand this. One second. There we go. Hasya Veera Bhayanaka. So now Rupa Goswami tells us in the Nectar of Devotion that the reason we study Krishna's pastimes is because they are full of these rasas. Krishna is called Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So sometimes people say Ramayana is a story about dharma. It is true. But Ramayana is also a literature that is full of all the rasas. Technically, in the Natya Shastra, Bharata Muni gave 9 rasas. Rupa Goswami took from that and gave us, there are 12 rasas. We call them 5 primary and 7 secondary. The way I appreciate them is the 5, when you say primary, that means these are relationships. Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. These are relationships. And within these relationships, depending on the circumstances, the other 7 are experienced. Sometimes Hasya, sometimes Raudra, Bhayanaka. So the circumstances allow for the experience of the other 7. The Ramayana is also like that. In fact, Ramayana is called Sharanagati Shastra. If you have to learn, if you are interested in how to surrender to the Lord, then Ramayana is the Sharanagati Shastra. And we will, in the course of this week that I'm there, we will hear 2 Sharanagatis. Excellent, excellent pastimes. But this is just the structure of it. Why this is so charming? What is the charm of Ramayana? That it is full of rasa. It is to be sung, it is to be recited, it is to be heard in a collection, gathering of people. Then let's see what else he said. Okay. Then so Lava and Kusha, because they were excellent students of Valmiki Rishi, learned the entire 24,000 shlokas to memory. And then Valmiki said, now you're ready, you've learned, you've graduated, go out into the cities and towns and villages and recite this. Mahatmanav, both of them, Lava and Kusha. Mahabhaga. Bhaga means full of opulence, right? Mahabhaga. Sarva Lakshana Lakshita. They had all auspicious markings on their bodies. Tau Kadachit means on one occasion, once upon a time. Kadachit Sameta Nam, Sameta collection of who? Rishinam, Bhavitatmanam, Asinanam, Samipasthat Vidan, Kavyam Agayatam. So there was a collection of great, great rishis, brahmanas. They were all seated. These 2 boys came with their little instruments. And there is a particular word about the rishis which is important. Bhavitatmana. That means their minds were very, very fixed. Whose mind is generally very fixed? A person who has no interest at all in anything worldly. They don't care what the cricket score is. They don't care what the news is. They don't care what the stock market looks like. They don't care what the real estate is. They don't care what the price of potatoes is. They don't care for useless, nonsensical, romantic novels and stories and songs. They don't care at all. They have no taste for it. That means their mind is bhavitatma. In such an assembly, these 2 have come to sing. Now we know if it is an ordinary song and some romance, the sages will say, get out of here. But that's not how happened. So these 2, when they came to sing, is the verse there for you? 14. Sorry. That's that. So then they sang the entire Ramayana. The sages who were sitting there, Tat Shrutva Munayas Sarve. All the rishis, Sarve means not one, did not, without the exception of even one. Bhashpa Paryapule Kshanayena. Every sage started to cry. Sages don't cry. They are fully given up this world of emotions, if you will. They're very intellectually fixed in tattva. I am not this body. Emotions are for weak-minded people. Their intelligence is sharp. Such sages, Bhashpa Paryapuriksha, their eyes were filled with tears. And they very loudly said, Sadhu, Sadhu iti. They started saying, Sadhu, Sadhu, excellent, excellent. Tau uvacho param vismaya gataha. They became so enchanted, vismaya. That means even the hearts of sages and rishis who otherwise would not entertain anything went into states of ecstasy. That is the Ramayana. And they started loudly shouting, Sadhu, Sadhu, excellent, excellent. The Bhagavatam also has many places where the sadhus or Parikshit Maharaj will say, Sadhu, Sadhu, or the sages in Naimisharanya will say, oh, Bhagavatam, fantastic, Sadhu, please continue, continue. The sages are all in ecstasy, hearing about the glories of Sri Ramachandra. Te Pritamana Sarve. Pritamana. In their hearts, there was so much love for Lava and Kusha suddenly. Although they're young boys. These sages have been meditating on the Supreme Lord for thousands and thousands of years. They're very, very aged. These are two young boys. Pritamana Sarve Munayo Dharma Vatsalaha. Dharma Vatsala. That means they are protecting Dharma. Prashansuhu. Prashastavyo Gayamano Kushilava. So as these boys are singing, Prashanshu, they were constantly appreciating, glorifying Lava and Kusha. And how are they appreciating it? The sages, you want to hear their words of ecstasy. Aho, Gitasya Madhuryam. Their singing is so sweet. Shlokanam cha visheshataha. And the shlokas, the way Valmiki has composed, visheshataha, very, very unique, very special. Chiran Vrittam. This, although the story happened long ago, Chiran Vrittam, it happened long ago, still Pratyaksham Iva Darshitam. Although this happened long ago, as the boys are singing, we are envisioning the story as if it is happening in front of us. That means not only are the shlokas are pictures where you can, as if you're watching a movie, but more importantly, they mean that they are seeing Sita, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata in front of them. That is the power. That is the charm. That when received, when these two boys, when the medium, what is conveying, one can have darshan of Sita, Rama, Lakshmana, Hanuman, and all the Vanaras and Ramachandra's associates. These are the sages, and they're saying, Pratyaksham iva darshitam. Aho, Gitasya Madhuryam. And they have sung in perfect meter, their perfect style, with all the swaras in their right place, in the marga method of singing, neither too high pitched nor too like that, but depending on what the scene is, what the situation is, they are singing in such a madhyama, this beautiful way that is charming the heart. Okay. Evam Prashasta, we'll go to 18. Pravishya taubhav sushtu bhavan samyak gayatam stitav maduram raktam sampanna sarva sampada. Their voices were melodious, the singing was exquisite, and when the sages were praising, the boys started singing with even more sweetness. Last night I was saying how the audience encourages and inspires and empowers the speaker. The sages, the more they are encouraged, they're saying, oh, wonderful, wonderful. The one may think, are the little boys proud that encouragement makes them sing better? No. What it means is the boys are realizing what it has done to the sages and what it is doing to them. And when someone is enjoying, like if someone comes to your home and you offer them something to eat and they tell you, it's not at all good, very bland, no taste. Will you serve them more? No, you'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. But if someone says, Amrita, this is so good, the natural tendency of the host is to say, take more. That's what is going on. Take more, please. Take more. Then these sages go into ecstasy. Let me see if I have the verse for you. Not there. Okay. So this is what the sages, now they are all living in the forest. They have nothing. They're not really wearing anything. Just little kopina, they have something. But they are so happy. Prita Kaschin Munis Tabhyam Samstita. So one of the munis who was sitting there listening to these boys became so inspired in ecstasy that he got up and Tabhyam, those to the two boys, Kalasham Dadao. The only possession he had was a kalash. That also he gave away to the boys. Now, when someone has lot, they can give a little and say no. But if that's the only possession and they give it away, you can imagine how much in ecstasy the sages are and how grateful they are to the boys and Valmiki Rishi for composing this into them. So the only kalasha he had, he gave it away. Another one, Prasanno Valkalam Kaschit. Valkalam is the jute cloth. It is made out of jute. It is rough. But that's what they wear. So another sage said, here, the Valkalas. Kaschit Dadav Tabhyam Mahayashaha. Ascharyam Idam Akhyanam Munina. They became so enchanted. What has Valmiki done? My God, this is amazing. Ascharyam Akhyanam Munina Samprakirtitam Param Kavinam Adharam Samaptan Yatha Kramam. This will be the basis of all poets in the future. Therefore, Valmiki is called Adikavi. What he has done, every poet worth his or her salt, if they have to write a poetry, somewhere you have to get some inspiration from Valmiki. Kalidas wrote Raghuvamsha poetry. But it is said, I heard somewhere, that Kalidasa heard the Ramayana about 1,000 times before he could say, wow, what poetry, and took from him. Because Kalidasa is called the king of upamas. Upama is analogies. No one can beat Kalidasa. But Kalidasa got it from Valmiki. So they said, Kavinam, Adharam, and Samaptam cha Yatat. And the way he has completed the work is very amazing. How is it completed? Sri Ramachandra takes the entire Ayodhya Vasis, everybody, back to the spiritual world with him. Aha! So if one studies Ramayana and one gets involved, then Ramachandra will say, Chalo, time to go to my eternal abode with. Some sages, so one gave a kalasha, one gave valkala, another sage did not have anything, he only had straw. That straw he gave the boys. You take this, so you can sit on it. Another gave them a straw mat. One sage didn't have anything, so he gave kopina, just a piece of cloth that they wear. He gave that kopina. You take this. And there is another sage who had no possessions. So he just got up and he started clapping to appreciate the boys. Which means whatever they had, they gave freely to these boys. In the 10th canto, when Krishna and Balaram are walking through the forests, Krishna pointed to the trees and he says, look at these trees, they were all great sages. And then there's a beautiful verse Krishna speaks in glorification of Lord Balaram, because he's right here. Etavat janma saphalyam. That's one famous verse. And then other verse he says is, whatever one has, one can give in the service of Lord Balaram. And he says the way you give is praner. If you can, you give your life to him. Arthe, you can't give your life. Artha, give your wealth. If you can't give your wealth, dhiya, give your intelligence in some way. The way you give your intelligence is that you see how some plan can be made, some ways, some methods can be devised for others to serve Lord Balaram. And if that also you cannot give, vacha, at least appreciate with your words, oh Lord Balaram, you're so amazing. And all the representatives of Lord Balaram, all of you are so fascinating and amazing. Prane, Arthe, Diya, Vacha. So these sages are doing like, if they have nothing else, they're just standing and clapping and appreciating the two boys for singing. Okay, so now they've all sang this and the sages are happy. Now they're going from villages slowly towards the capital of the kingdom, to Ayodhya. Because ultimately that's the plan. So they're going here and there. So here's the verse. Prashasya Manav Sarvatra. So they were being congratulated, appreciated everywhere they were going. Kadachit Tatra Gayakau. Kadachit at one time. Rathyasu Rajamargeshu. They were walking through different streets and now they were on the Rajamarga, the main Orchard Road. Is it Orchard Road? Rajamarga? And there, Dadarsha, somebody saw them. Bharatagrajaha, Ramachandra, the older brother of Bharata, saw these two boys and they were singing. That means he heard them too. And they were singing in such beautiful way. The poetry was exquisite. The notes they were singing. If you enjoy music, you know when someone hits a right note, you'll say. If they don't hit the right note, like something is missing. Music is like that, right? So then Ramachandra invited the two boys, sent a message to bring the boys in. And when they came in, Swaveshma into his own personal presence. Cha Aniya got them inside. Tada Bhrataro Sa Kushilava, these two boys. Pujayamasa, he made them be worshipped. Because when sages come, when Kuchela, Sudama came in, Krishna, the Supreme Personality, got up, washed his feet, sprinkled that water on his head, made him sit on Rukmini's bed. Even when Narada Muni comes. So that's how one should worship great sages. So these two boys, they've come. Pujarhau, they are fit to be worshipped. Rama, Shatru, Nibarhana. One by Ramachandra, who has now killed all of his, or removed all the enemies from the planet. Okay. Asinaha Kanchane Divye, such a Simhasane Prabhu. Ramachandra was seated on a high throne. golden throne. Okay. And he was surrounded. Upopavishta. Upavishta, seated. Upopavishta, seated while he was surrounded by Sachive Bhratarashtra. All his ministers and brothers were surrounding him. He was sitting as the king of the world. Drashtva tu Rupa Sampanna. And he saw these two boys. They are so handsome, almost like him. So he said, Uvacha Lakshmana Ram Shatrughna Bharata Tada. So he told Bharata, Lakshmana Shatrughna that Shruyatam Idam. Listen to what these boys have to sing. Akhyanam Akhyanam Deva Varchasa. They are glowing like demigods. And Vichitra Artha Padam. When they are singing, the words have very interesting meanings. We saw one sample yesterday. Right? What looked like a curse is nothing but a encapsulated Ramayana. So the entire Ramayana is filled like that. Uvacha, Vichitra Artha Padam Samyak Gayakau Tav Chodaya. So they are going to sing and I want you to listen. So these two boys were invited to sing. Tav Chapi Madhuram Raktam. They started singing. They tuned their instruments and began singing the Ramayana. Now in the presence of Lord Ramachandra, in the presence of Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrughna and all the ministers. Ramachandra is sitting on a high throne. You know, I've seen in movies, many steps on top is where he's sitting. These boys are in the in the middle of the palace court. So beautiful voice. They started chanting the Ramayana with his instruments. Now, the way they were singing, Hladayas Sarva Gatrani. Hlada. What does Hlada mean? Pleasing, joy, great ecstasy. She is called Hladini potency. Hiranyakashipu loved his son so much that he called him Prahlada. Pra means intense. Prakrishta Rupe. Prahlada. This boy is the sweetest for me. Later he said, I want to kill him. Prahlada. So what happened to the audience? Everyone was sitting there. Haladayas Sarvagatrani. Every part of their body became ecstatic. Manasi Hridayanicha. Their minds are also in ecstasy and their hearts are also in ecstasy. So the body, the mind, and the heart, all of them were in Halada, state of ecstasy. Shrotra Ashraya Sukham Geyam Tad Babhav Janasandadi. Everybody felt comforted. There are some sounds that are very pleasing. There are some sounds that are very sharp to the ear. So, what is the most pleasing sound in this world? I'll give you a clue. When someone speaks sweet words about me, it's the most pleasing sound in this world. What is the most sharp, hurtful sound in the ear? Criticism? No. When someone else is glorified. Because criticism, still the topic is about me, so I'm in the picture. But when someone else is being glorified and I'm not in the picture, that is the worst thing to hear. But not this. Here they are singing Shrotrashaya Sukham Gayam. What they were singing was so pleasing to the ear. The ear became filled with resounding words and music and the story, the meanings, the rasa, everything. And Ramachandra Is that verse there for you? I would like you to see. Wow. Tatostau tau Ramo Vachaha Prachodita Agayatan Marga. They're saying how they sang the verse. Okay. Now here's what happening. Here's what they're singing in the Marga method. Everybody is in ecstasy. So technically, when Ramachandra is seated, everybody is facing the Simhasana because he's the king, and they're all standing like this. Ramachandra is here, the boys are here, so they are listening, but their attention is on Ramachandra. As they are singing the Ramayana, the audience is now turning away from Rama and these two. They're all absorbed in him. Slowly, those who are surrounding Rama also walk down. This is the internal messages given by Govinda Raja and others. They're all leaving Rama and coming to here where the boys are. And at one point, Ramachandra is seated alone. King is never alone. Alone on the throne up there. The audience did not notice. Now, kings can become very upset. But the wonderful thing is, Ramachandra also did not notice that the audience has gone away. They're all with the boys. What are they singing? Ramayana. Everybody is enchanted. Ramachandra is also enchanted. So someone will raise a doubt. Obviously, Nityananda Prandas said, the sweetest message is to hear your own glory. So Ramachandra naturally is all in ecstasy because he is hearing about him. If that would be the case, then Ramachandra cannot be called Dharmatma. He could not be called Jitatma. That means he has conquered his himself and all his senses. What is it that he's in ecstasy about? That this is Sita's character that speaks. It's not about him. And he's happy that everybody is appreciating Sita Devi in the Rama. And he himself is lost. He has not noticed that the audience has gone away. And the last verse, Sa chapi Rama, Sa cha api, Rama also. Parishad gataha shanai. Parishad, his associates. Gataha, he went to his associates. How? Shanai, slowly. So Ramachandra is so enthralled by Ramayana because he's thinking of Sita Devi that from the Simhasana he came to the first step. Then slowly went to the next step. Now when the king stands, everybody is in attention. Nobody's paying attention to him. He's slowly moving, and it means he's gone into the whole assembly, mixing with the common people. Someone notices Sri Ramachandra stand. What would one do? I mean, if you imagine, let's say a great sannyasi or very senior devotee of Prabhupada is in the room and you suddenly notice Prabhupada next to you, what would you do? Then the audience did not even notice him. In fact, it is said that when the boys were singing, some verses are so excellent that the audience was like, wonderful, right? Some even slapped Ramchandra on his back. Wonderful singing by these boys. They are so absorbed because the story is very gripping with the rasas, the situations, with everything. And even Ramachandra has been completely lost. He's lost in the story. He's lost in the narration and the way Valmiki has put it all together. This is the charm of Ramayana. In Nectar of Devotion, we hear that Krishna is called Madan Mohan. That means there is nothing attracting the Lord. Everybody is attracted to him, but he's not attracted to anyone or anything. But there is one personality. She is called Madan Mohan Mohini. She can enthrall, she can captivate him. Similar message, because it is Sitaya Charita Mahat. That Sri Rama, his name is Rama, is the source of all pleasure. He is always filled with pleasure. Anyone who sees him becomes full of pleasure. Anyone who calls his name is filled with joy and pleasure. Such a personality is lost in the hearing the great qualities of Sita Devi. Sitaya Charitam Maha. That's where the chapter ends. Like Sri Ramachandra was lost in the crowd. And Bubhushaya Saktamana. Bubhushaya, he became so eager. Asaktamana. Babhuva, and Valmiki ends the chapter with the word Ha. Ha means is astonishment. How is it that even the Lord was attracted? Ha. That's the astonishment. That's the charm of Srimad Ramayana. I'm at 8:43. 8:45 is when we end now. Huh? Any thoughts, comments, questions, anything you want to share, reflect? Anything? Yeah, ma'am. Was it too many verses or is this okay? So I'll know in the next whether to add verses or not verses. I'm not the real person here. Meaning I wanted Valmiki's words for us to see and relish. So I cut it off my camera. Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes.
How wide benefit?
Because he is thinking, no? Valmiki for that time was considered the Vyasa of his time. So he has to give humanity, and this is near the end of Treta Yuga. Kali is coming up. Right? After Treta comes Kali. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, after Treta is Kali. Only in this time. In the 28th Yuga cycle, Treta and Dwapara are interchanged. But after Treta comes Kali. So Kali Yuga is about to come. He has to give the world something by which they can manage Kali and go back to Ramachandra's abode. So this was created. So the Gayatri mantra is an important mantra because all of the Vedic truths are hidden in that mantra. Ultimately, the Gayatri mantra is a glorification of the Supreme Lord and his consort. All our Gaudiya Acharyas have given how the Gayatri mantra speaks about Radha and Krishna. So that's what the world needs. Not some how to make money, this, that. All that is also there. But the main is these two.
Is it calculation?
Yeah, there's a calculation. There's a whole work called Gayatri Ramayana. If you type it, you'll get the all 24 verses and you see how they all match to. It's called Gayatri Ramayana. People have gathered those verses and put them together. Yes, Prabhu. Name. What's your name? Shobha?
Shobha Keshri.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Mujwal Vikradas.
Ah,
Thank you for the wonderful session. In the initial part, it glorifies the position of love and push. So the same thing happens in Srimad Bhagavatam.
yeah.
So when we say Parishad Maharaj spoke Srimad Bhagavatam, or Lava Kush spoke Ramayana, did they speak these verses also? Or this is just a compilation? And the verses which they started speaking will be slightly.
We'll start because he's talking about what happened in the courtroom of Ramachandra. What they are singing. Because they're not singing this, saying Rama Babhusha. It's not happening like that. Listen, the Ramayana was written after Ramachandra. So it's being written in the present. So they went and they were reciting what was coming up now. Next is the entire Ramayana. This is the initial part.
These verses are compiled. In case of Vyasadeva, he compiled those verses.
Valmiki is telling us what happened in the courtroom of Ramachandra. The boys are not singing this.
So the book form or the final compilation has this preamble
Absolutely.
and the core one. What they spoke. But we still call that also Ramayana and the whole thing also Ramayana.
Everything is Ramayana. Everything is Ramayana.
Prabhuji, my name is Yashwant.
Right.
And my question is, there are two stories about how Laukush met to Ram.
Okay.
One, what you mentioned, there's another story is through the Ashwamedh Yajna, they both fight and then they meet. Which one is the correct one?
Both are. Different, there are many Ramayanas because Ramachandra appears in many days of Lord Brahma. Every day of Brahma, once he comes. So it's called Kalpa Bheda, the different day. The story. So in the Ramcharitmanas, I think there is this reference. In the Adhyatma Ramayana also there is the Ashwamedha Yajna. But in the Valmiki Ramayana, it just says that they came and touched his feet and they sent them there. Tulsidas Goswami particularly writes the Kalpa Bheda story because the storyline that he has, the general plot is the same. Four brothers, Dasharatha, Kaikeyi, but the specifics changes. That means it was on a different day of Lord Brahma. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. You can tell me when to end it.
I have just it's a thing that we say Lord Ram is Moriyada Purushottam Ram.
Correct.
So he cannot do anything, but sometimes it has to do, even we see even Lord Krishna said. Because this Sita Devi was so affectionate and so everything she is good, but he had to leave Sita Devi because of the other grounds. So these are sometimes people have to follow in the circumstances. What is you can analyze on this thing?
So I referred to, thank you, Prabhu. I referred to it last night. Kulashekar. Oh. Kulashekara means the crown jewel of the entire Kula. Shikhara means one who's at the top. No? Kulashekar. I mentioned yesterday that there is a whole episode why that happens. And it requires, because it is full of rasa. If I just say it, there's no fun to it. There are 6 or 7 reasons, and it's important to massage the topic. It's not on our list of topics, but I will try and squeeze it somewhere as we go in the next few days. There are different roles he plays. Although he's playing the role of a husband, but he's also playing the role of a king. Now, this is the same message. He comes back as Krishna and tells Arjuna that don't put family first, put dharma first. Someone may ask, easy for you to say. Krishna will say, I experienced it in my previous incarnation as the king. And there are other nuances. I promise you, if we go through that topic, most of the time people cry to see what kind of love Ramachandra has for Sita Devi once you go through the reasons of it. But it's only love, nothing else. Madhurya at its peak. Plus there is separation, because in separation, in Vipralamba, there is a greater joy. So there's a whole thing knitted into it. Okay. Okay, back there. So who's going to give me the signal to stop? You know, I will never be invited. That fellow went on, breakfast was also, I don't want to be like that. I'm very selfish. I somehow love Singapore, all of you, and want to see if I can come back. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Gaurakanti.
Gaurakanti. What a lovely name you all have.
Prabhu, Prabhu, you mentioned in the class about the different rasas in Ramayana. So, but when we observe, the Karuna ras is most prominent.
Correct.
So, can you just give a brief description when are the other rasas experienced?
Oh, why not? The entire Yuddha Kanda is a fantastic Virya, Bhayanaka, Raudra, left, right, and center. I mean, the whole Kanda is that. Shringara, when Rama and Sita are marrying each other, when they are in the forest with each other, the forests together, in separation, in Kishkinda Kanda. You cannot go beyond Ramachandra's love for Sita, and Rama is crying like a ordinary human being, constantly crying. In fact, one of the features of that pramatta, unmatta, madness, he is talking to leaves and trees and twigs. Anyone talks to trees? And in the Sundarakanda, her ecstasy, Hanuman, the great, great personality, when he sees Sita Devi, he's shocked. When he meets Ramachandra, he's blown away. What a personality. And then when he sees Sita, he says, oh, Ramachandra is a hard-hearted person. How is he alive, even for a moment, in separation from such a wife? Then Hasya, particularly is in the episode with Shurpanaka, but also when Hanuman returns from Lanka, all the Vanaras are enjoying in Dadimukhi's garden, Sugriva's garden. They make a complete mess out of it. They are laughing. I mean, if you read the description, it's crazy. They are laughing, they're intoxicated. Each one has drank, I think, 7 to 10 kgs of honey, and their eyes are rolling and they're frolicking. I mean, it's full of fun what they're doing there. Bhayanaka, when people see Kumbhakarna get up and come into the battlefield, people are shocked. The description of blood, people's heads getting cut off, all of that is the ghastly. So it's all there, but entwined in different. Raudra, Ramachandra's anger, Hanuman's anger, Dasharatha's anger upon Kaikeyi, Lakshmana's anger. So all the rasas are there. It's full of rasa. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai.
Yeah.